Tutel Australia video on our cloud business phone system. In this particular video, we're going to give you a good overall view of how to set up your phone system from scratch. Let's go to the URL, which is hostedpbx.connectu.net.au, and you put in your username and password, and we'll log in. On the first screen here, there's four main screens. You've got your sign up screen, your basic configuration, your layout, and your summary screen. So on the first screen, you have the ability to change your password. And remember when you sign in that your username and passwords are both case sensitive. You also can put your name in and your email address. You can get to the next page by clicking accept and continue, but you can also click on the tabs. On this particular page, you can see it's a baby phone system. It's a demo one, so we've only got 4 extensions. You can also see that the dialing plan has been set for Victoria, Tasmania, but you could change that to Queensland or WA, no problems at all. It's really easy. You can also set your business hours for the general phone system. I'll talk more about other parts of the system that you can set time zones on. And you can also set your business hours. Now the time zone is really important here because if you put it in WA and you have a 9 o'clock start, it's not going to start at the right time if you're in Sydney or Melbourne or in Tassie, where we are. Down the bottom you can also see that this phone system has 3 numbers and also a 10 number range. And at the moment the primary number is set to here. But I'd actually like to change that. I'd like to make our primary number a better number to remember. So let's choose this particular number here. Once again, to get to the next screen, accept and continue, or the tab at the top. Right, on this screen here, you can see we've got quite a few phone numbers and there's not much setup. We've got one phone number with one phone in it. So let's just go down to that number that we wanted to present as the better number for people to remember, which is this number here. How do we do something with it? Well, basically you click on the little button there and you now can define what you'd like it to do. So let's go high tech for this one. We'll set up an auto attendant. Okay, the default thing is it gives you 2 options, but we can change that to as many options as you like. So let's click on Auto Attendant 101. Double click actually. Well, let's go with accounts. We'll go with sales, and we'll go with choose group, and we'll also go with support. The gap seconds is that the system can announce the menu for you by using these set words, and it'll give you a 1-second gap. But that's probably not the best way to do it. It's actually really good to upload your own professional message, which you can do down here, and you need to have it set in this particular format. It needs to be a WAV file that's 8 kHz, 16-bit mono, but don't stress too much about that. Your audio professional will be able to set that sound file up for you, ready to load into a phone system. It's a very common request. That's a standard for all phone systems. You can choose the hang up timeout, so might choose 30 seconds, give them a chance to listen to the message. So now what we'll do is we'll go accept. Won't worry about after hours for now, I'll explain more about that in a minute. So now we have 3 options, but they're not really given very cool names. So let's go back to the group here and we'll choose the first one and we'll call it accounts or accounts team. And what we'll do for the moment is we'll give it just 1 stage and we'll make it ring for 25 seconds and we'll accept. Now in this example the accounts team happens to be 400, so we'll drag 400 down and we'll pop it into that box there, which means that when they ring in the number and they press option number 1, it'll go over here to accounts team and it'll ring extension 400, which you can see extension 400 is also online because of the tick. Let's change group 2 and we'll call it sales. We'll also only make it 1 hunt group level deep and we will give it 25 seconds. Okay, and in this example, 401 will be our sales guy, so we'll pop it in there. And we'll go and edit the last one, and this will be the help desk, or we'll call it support actually. We'll have 2 levels on this one, and we'll go 10 seconds on the first one, and we'll say 20 seconds on the second level, and we'll hit accept. So then what we'll do is we'll put in 402 as the first level, and that will ring for 10 seconds. As you can see here, if we double click on that, you see it rings for 10 and then it rings for 20. The way I like to do this is I like to actually put the second phone in there as well, so that way if it rings for 11 seconds, this guy's phone doesn't stop ringing and then he can't answer it. And then you drag down number 403, which is a second team member in the on the help desk or the support department. What'll happen there is, basically what happens is, you can also see that this number 3 phone, 403 here, is actually offline at the moment. So the person has no internet or something like that at that particular location, or the phone's not plugged into the network. So it indicates that it's currently offline. But what would happen in this example is it will ring 402 and it'll ring 402 again. Right, so now another thing that we will do for this is we want to have the accounts team go to a particular mailbox after hours. So let's double click on accounts team. With the accounts team, it's quite simple here. You go down to the bottom and you go enable after hours divert. We can choose a mailbox, and then what we do is the after hours mailbox for the accounts team will be the extension of the main phone number in that team, so 400, and we'll go accept. Now that's set at the moment, but what something is important is, let's go have a look at 400 as the extension. So you go up to the left, click on the cog. You'll notice that the email alerts are going to accounts at Tutel Australia. So we'll relabel this phone here as accounts team. Okay, and you can see the email is this account. We'll go to our advanced features. We can upload a professional recording if the user doesn't want to do it on their own handset. Once again, WAV file 8 kHz 18-bit mono. We can also give the handset a display name. So on the button on the phone that other people will be able to see, we can call it accounts. We can see that it has a voicemail box pin of 1234 for this one. And we want them to ring with a main number so nobody can call back directly to this extension. They'll get the auto attendant. So we'll put that in there for the outgoing number. Now, this isn't set to default at the moment. This is the default option, which is to send an email with no attachment. But what we'd like to do is send the attachment and with all voicemails, and we also would like to delete them when they get sent. This means that the mailbox does not fill up and that they can't leave a new message. Another feature here is, just while we're near it, is send an email on missed calls. It's usually set to yes, but I recommend to set it to no. On the individual handsets, if they see a missed call, it will be on the screen, but getting emails about it is probably a little bit too much. Especially if you're a reception user or you're in a hunt group where you're not always the person who picks up your phone. You don't necessarily need to give them a call back, because when you call them back, someone else has probably already spoken to them. That's all we really need to do on this particular screen. So with the sales team, we'll basically do the same thing. We'll double click on sales. We'll go and pick the sales team mailbox, which happens to be 401. Actually, that is not the right place to do it. We will go 401 for the mailbox. But while we just made this little mistake here, if the final stage here that it goes to will be during the day, and this will be after hours. So let's just say the sales guy is in and out of the office a lot and he doesn't want to miss a phone call and he's the only person in the department. So rather than send somebody to a mailbox, we have a lot of options here. We could actually extend to a external phone number, and we could type in 0400123456, which is the salesperson's mobile number. And then if after 25 seconds, if that person's not at their desk, it will ring their mobile phone number, and if they don't answer their phone, it will leave a voicemail on that person's phone number. So we go save. Now, this one here, you can see when they call in, they press option 2, they get the sales department, it rings the first extension. If they don't answer it, it'll go to the person's mobile, and if it happens to be after hours, it'll go to 401. On the last option, we've got the help desk. So we're ringing one phone and then we're ringing two phones. If we wanted to do something a little bit more interesting for this one, after hours, they're always on call. You know what it's like being a support team. They can't go home. So we will put an external number in there, and what you could do is you could come in and manually type in a person's phone number. And save it, and then you could come in weekly and change that number to whoever's on call, or daily, as often as you need. You can get into the phone system 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the internet. So even if you forget on a Friday afternoon to change it, you just jump on a PC and you log in. So notice that I can't click on the after hours thing here. Some people forget that you need to double click on the heading of support, and then you can go back down and change it. Right, that is a pretty basic setup for an auto attendant. But let's just try something a little bit different. Let's just pick another number over here. This one here, for example, the Sydney office. And let's say we want to just have a really basic thing going on in the Sydney office. We want to have a hunt group only. The default hunt group's created. It has 3 levels. It's probably too much. So let's double click on this sales here, and we'll change it to Sydney, and we'll only give it 2 stages, and we'll stick to that basic. So we'll go accept. So well, let's just pretend for now that 402 happens to be in the Sydney office and it's a reception phone, and then after that you want it to ring reception and the backup reception person, or the manager, for example. You just drop it down like that, just as simple as that. Okay, that's great. So now let's go over here to the Perth office. There's an 08 number here. For this particular number, I want to set up a call queue. So when people call in, they get stuck in a queue for a little while and they get announced what position they are in the queue. So let's just work with that. We'll double click on the button, we'll open up a new call layout. This particular one is still called a hunt group, and I'll show you how we change it. So we'll double click on the sales heading there and we'll call it Perth. And we only want 1 level for this one, and we'll go accept. So now what we've got is an empty hunt group there, but we want to create a call queue, or an agent group in our particular phone system, but it means the same thing. So we'll create a new agent queue. There's one here already, but we'll create one, and we'll call it the Perth office, and we go OK. Now in the Perth office, we have the option to add any of the 4 phones that we have available. So let's just say that 400 happens to be in Perth and 401 happens to be in Perth. We then have some options on the next tab, which is the group settings. So you can display their outbound number. So let's, when they call from the Perth number, which is here. And when the people hang up the phone, you can give them a recovery time, which gives them a chance to make some notes or a bit of a breather between calls. This is probably more useful when you have a bigger team, but you could give the people, you know, a 2-minute window where their phone won't ring again for 2 minutes. But in a small group, that's a very long time. So maybe 30 seconds in this particular example gives them a chance to hang up the phone, maybe finish off a couple of notes, and then before the next call comes through. You have the option to give it a maximum ringback time in the queue. You have the maximum amount of time in a queue, and once they hit a time in the queue, say 2 minutes, you might choose to send them to a mailbox. So you'd go voicemail, and then you would pick a particular mailbox that's appropriate for this particular call queue. There's maximum wait times in the queue. There's the ability to do queue position announcements, wait time announcements, and you can see that you can do announcements if it's going to be a long time, or always, for example, and you can choose to play periodic announcements and how often. Whenever the agents are unregistered, so a person signs out of their call queue, you definitely should set somewhere for it to ring. So what we could do here is we could set it to just one particular extension out of the group, and if all agents are unregistered, is actually if the phone's offline, and if the users are logged out, you could do the same thing. So you could go extension and accounts team again. You got background music that you can quieten down. Here's a very handy one. You can actually put an email address in here and get a call detail report every single day of what calls came in, how long that they were on hold for, the average time that a caller was before answered, and a number of other cool bits of information so that you can see how the call queue's running. On the third tab, we have the ability to ring all agents simultaneously and randomly, or the last to pick up, first to call, or the agents from the agent setting, which if you go back to the agents here, it's all about which order you put them in the queue. You have the ability to do your music on hold tracks by uploading them, your initial greeting, and your periodic announcements. And on the last screen, this is an important one. A queue can have a different time for open office hours than the actual main phone system, which we had on one of those front pages. So use the main setting means use the global phone system open hours, but you could actually use custom ones. Simply click on there. You might say that they're open 6 AM and they go home at 6 PM, for example. And then you just fill it out for the rest of the day. You can also put holidays in here by selecting them and giving them a name. You can actually just type it in too. So if you go the 25th of the 12th, 2021, and we go Xmas, and you go add. Now what will happen is if that day of the year comes up, it will automatically make it a message. Go to the after hours. So you can now choose what after hours is. So you could still, if you wanted to, go to an external phone number. You could have it go to a voicemail or another extension. So for example, if you had a public holiday that was local to Perth in this particular example, you could actually have it ring a Melbourne office or a Tassie office or somewhere else. Or you could just send it to the external phone number, which might be an on-call person for emergencies. So I will save that. Once we've created that call queue, all we have to do now is drag that call queue down. Actually, that is not how we do it. We click on Perth, and then the final stage goes to agent group, which is a call queue, and we choose 4141, and we go accept. So now you can see that when they call the Perth phone number, it will go no hunt group, so it will automatically go to the call queue or the agent group, and it will proceed through the settings that we have chosen in here, in all these different settings. I'll show you a few other little things on the system. you can easily set up buttons on people's phones. So let's go down and have a look at that now. Once we click the Manage Button screen down here, we can go and create a new button. So we have T46 in this particular business, and we'll just call it T46. But you could put, Perth and have a format just for the Perth office, or a format for a particular location or for a department. So you could have T46 accounts team. And we're going to choose busy lamp field, and we'll choose 400, and then we'll go to the next extension, or the next button I should say, and we'll choose the next extension, 401. We'll go to the next one and we'll choose busy lamp field, and we'll go 402, and then over this one we'll do the same thing, 403. So now what you've actually done is as you can see, if you click on any of these ones here and save it, you'll be able to see that you've set the buttons up, and the buttons will automatically roll out. If the phone has more than one page, if you use up all the buttons on one page here and you find that you need more, you can go and change it to a new page. You have to fill up one page first. So let's just say on this button here, I would like to have an external address book speed dial number. You'll be able to pick it from here. I'll show you how to set up a speed dial in a moment, but that's how you do that. And you also have night mode. So you could flick a night mode on to any of the particular options that you've set up in your phone system already. So you might have an after hours auto attendant, which is, we're closed right now. Press 1 to leave a message for the next business day, or press 2 to be connected to our after hours service. So if you set up an auto attendant for that, then you would be able to pick it here. So I'm going to save this button profile. I'm also just going to show you how to apply that button profile. So from memory, I think 402 happens to be a T46. I've put that friendly name in to make it easy for myself. So we'll go and choose that accounts profile just down here and go accept. Now, when that phone next gets an update from the phone system, it'll put those buttons on that user's phone. The other thing that you can do is a directory, and you have the ability to put in a first name, a last name, a phone number, cell phone number, and a speed dial number, and you can hit submit, which would allow you to pick that from the button menu. You can also upload a CSV file. We get an example CSV file first actually, which you can download. You open it up. And you can see there's a sample file in here, so let's just expand that out a little bit. And what you would need to do is make sure you put the 0 in front of there. I actually find it's actually best if you change it to a text field, and that way the number doesn't disappear. And so you can go through and you can fully pad that out, export it from another system like a 0 or something, and put them in all the right columns. You can save that file, and then you can actually upload that file here by going upload CSV file, and you go pick the file that you've just updated. You got to make sure you save it as a CSV file and not an Excel file though. There's another thing here that I'd like to show you. It's music on hold. So you can upload a professional music on hold file by going into here and clicking on the little paperclip and then uploading your file. Once again, it has to be that WAV file 16-bit mono that we were talking about earlier. So you can see now visually the phone system has been fairly well padded out here. We have a Perth office, we have a Sydney office, we have our general published phone number, which happens to be this one. Now your 1300 number could point to this one so that people don't necessarily know what it is. Comes through to the auto attendant and it gives them a few different options. I'm going to run through another little thing here on this phone system, and that is your individual handset options. So in here you can change a person's extension at the top, you can give them a name, you can give them the email address, which is really important to make sure that when their voicemails come through, if you don't have an email address on here, it's not going to go anywhere. It needs to make sure it's a valid one as well. UC license provisioning email address. This is an interesting one. This email and this email here don't have to be the same one. The accounts at Tutel Australia email might be a generic email that goes to a monitored group, but the UC license provisioning email needs to be specific for this person's extension. This is actually used for people who get the app on their mobile phone, or an app that works on a computer, so you can make calls back to this extension, and that needs to be a unique email address for this particular phone. I have been over this before, but you can upload a personalized or a company branded voicemail recording for this extension. If this extension's set up on any one of these hunt groups, like you can see this accounting one here has got 400 as an extension, you may want to have a professional one saying, you know, you've reached the accounts department, we're currently not available to answer our phone, or business is closed. That sort of message gets uploaded here. You can also change the person's outgoing phone number to anything that you like for this particular extension. You can make sure that this is also set, which we went over earlier in the video. Send emails on a new voicemail. You need to set that yes with an attachment, or you can actually choose no or yes with no attachment. But when you go and do that, the phone will be displayed with a new message, and the person has to press the envelope button on their phone, retrieve the message, and delete the message so that it doesn't fill up. That's why I like this particular one, because you can set this email address at the top to a group monitored email if it's not for a personal person's phone, and the team can look after it, and it also empties the mailbox so they don't need to worry about them filling up. That's what this option here does. I also recommended before not to send email addresses on missed phone calls, because some handsets that are in hunt groups will get quite a few telephone calls, so it's a good thing to turn that off, because they don't always answer them, because someone else in the team might answer it, and therefore they'll get a message for a missed phone call, and they might call them back, but the person's already spoken to someone else in the team. That's pretty much all I need to show you on there. That's a pretty good run through the basic layout screen of the PBX. We'll go to the summary page. This is where you can see how many auto attendants you've got, how many groups you've got, the total extensions, a quick summary of the extensions, a quick summary of your open hours that we have set. Oh look, there's Saturday 10 AM. You don't want to maybe work on a Saturday, just pop back to basic configuration, and you can just easily disable Saturday so that it's not going to happen. We go back to the summary screen, and you'll see it's now been changed. You can see Xmas Day's been in there. I actually previously put that in there. That didn't put it in there because of that other group that we created. But you can do the same thing here, because we're also going to be closed Boxing Day. And we go add. I'll double click that then. So all you have to do now is, the system's currently in a ready status, and all of these changes I've made are not live right now. So we go accept and save all. Now I actually did quite a few changes there. So what will actually happen now is that'll take approximately 1 minute to make those changes. Sometimes a little bit longer. If it's a really minor change, probably made within 15 seconds. And right now what you're also seeing is that the status of the PBX is now set to awaiting update or provisioning, and you can see that I did it less than a minute ago. So we'll just give that a couple extra seconds and hopefully it will actually already be done. So when you want to refresh the page, for you to continue to make changes, you've got to wait for this status to be ready. So at the moment, if you look through any of these, you'll notice everything's grey. You can't actually make any changes. That's because you currently have the phone system locked while we wait for changes. So I'll go up to the top here and hit refresh. We can press F5 on your keyboard and you'll notice that the system is ready for business and that all options are now allowing you to make changes again. That is pretty much all I need to show you about the basic operation of a phone system. We will do a number of other little videos just on individual sections of the phone system so you don't have to watch a long video, but there's a general overview. Thank you for watching.